out here.
Hi, my name is Carlos. I travel, I tattoo, and I take it all in. One country at a time, one tattoo at a time. Travel is what inspires me. Tattooing is what guides me. This is how I interpret the world. This is the global canvas.
What's up, guys? Good to see ya. How many we got in here so far? We got Cadet, nice to see you. Algebra, nice to see you. Party Cake 666, good to see you too. Wow, Corey, I didn't know you turned into a horse. Okay. I don't know what any of that means, but I hope you're having a great time in the chat nonetheless. As you can see, we're zoomed in today. We're really, let me grab my brush here. We're really zoomed in and focused just on this area tonight. I was not able yet to upgrade my cameras to get higher quality, but what I was able to do, and I wish I had a third camera that I could train, or a fourth camera I could train on this to show you my ridiculous setup. I was able to use Scotch tape masking, blue painting masking tape, and wrap a pair of magnifying lenses around my camera, my webcam, that's trained at the canvas, and it's on the other side of a large magnifying glass so that I can see zoomed up as well. It's very silly. Cadet, yay details. Yeah, I've been for like 13 hours now. I've been talking about like how we're just like slowly building and suggesting to do this stuff, this and that. But we're getting actual details, and I'm going to be focusing on just the hand and the fingers in this stream. Here's this paintbrush I'm using. You want to see how teeny tiny it is. This is like the size of a tattoo needle. Like, it's very, very small. But then when we get in to our canvas, it looks deceivingly larger. But this is really, I wonder if I have a coin on here somewhere I can use for scale. It doesn't matter. None of what I'm talking about really matters that much, but I wish you guys could see the scale of exactly how teeny tiny this is. This is the best way I can put it. Here is my paintbrush, and here is where's it at? A bamboo skewer, like you'd stick through your shish kebab. So I would say this is decidedly smaller. That's okay, you don't have to stay for the whole thing. You know these always go up on the channel as VODs, so you can always watch. My layout on my screen up here is a little funky because I got the cameras in weird angles for today, but at least you can see my palette, you can see what I'm working with. I'm gonna mix up just like a couple of small tones, honestly just like 3 tones, a mid-tone, a light, and a dark, and then I can always pull through like black or a raw umber if I need to get darker, and I can always pull through white if I need to get lighter. But we'll start with some alizarin crimson. Just grab some Naples yellow. Raw sienna to the violet. And we're just going to start tossing tones in here to move around to try to find the colors I'm looking for. How you guys been, dudes? Dudettes, whatever your preferred dude homonym is. Very purple. Right, so there's some of those crimson. This feels all incorrect. But that's okay, because the whole point of this is, say it with me, to fail in front of people. I don't really know if there's any like market for oil painters that vaguely tangentially know what they're doing. My normal, and I hate having rules or things like normal, right? But my normal way to create a flesh tone would be to use something like this with a little bit of white, a little bit of pink, and the tiniest bit of yellow. Got a nice, rich, warm, fleshy tone. Not very realistic, so to speak, but that's like the way that I start. And you can see between these two piles here, this is decidedly cooler, decidedly violet, but either way. Let's see. Much was excited for that. Going, that's for sure. Just ignoring weak minus tattoo and everything else eventful's happening. How's your tattoo healing up? Hopefully you're all good. So what I'm going to do is just try to make a decent pile of mid-tone, and then I can tint it light, tint it warm or dark, and then have my 3 piles. Like, I could honestly use that as a mid-tone right now. Sorry, my camera's turned over there. So I could honestly use that as a mid-tone as is, but it seems a little warm, deep for me. Everything that we have so far on this canvas for the fingers and the hand, we're going to go over all of it. So you can almost imagine what's there now is just a block in. And then we're going to refine tonight. And then after everything we do tonight is 100% like done drying, curing, setting up, however, whatever arty term you want to use, then I will go through and do some glazing for like fine tuning. But we are no longer beating around any bush. We are literally straight up doing details today. So I don't know if you caught what happened there, but I had a tiny bit of this like purple mixture up here on my palette knife that I used to scrape off of this one, and it got into this pile, or this pool puddle pile of paint down here, and it made for like a slightly more neutralized, but slightly deeper tone. So I'm just gonna go ahead and call that an accidental victory. So now we got mid-dark, let's call mid-dark. Darkest will come down here later, lightest will come up here, but we need to take this up now and go a little bit brighter. I'm just going to portion off that. And we're going to snag some white. This is titanium white, by the way. There's a color that I've been missing in my palette called a Cremence white, and I need to hit the art store and get some. I don't know what it does or what the difference is. I remember many years ago when I oil painted, it was the white that I was supposed to be using for everything. Go figure. Tattoo's healing fine. It was itchy for a bit. Couldn't survive it. Still so happy with how it came out. Awesome. Yeah. For the other people on the stream, it's not a tattoo that I did, but our friend Cadet was able to get their first tattoo recently, so we're very excited for that. Itchy is normal. Itchy is what you're looking for. Itchy is okay. If you're not, itch. Alright. So I got 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go this lighter one up top for a lighter tone, and then we'll take it from there. Or then we'll start painting from here. See if I can do this a little bit more on camera. I can tell you can hear just like some clicking, but you don't really see what's going on. You're just kind of smashing the heck out of the paint with this palette knife, and then picking the pile up and then smashing and picking up and smashing. It gives us these beautiful, delicious tones. Awesome. So now I got this giant pile of purple up here that I don't need. Go ahead and get that out of the way. Should move that out of camera. Alright. it's got a big pile of purple off camera, but what we want to use today is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then if I need to go deeper, I can pull 5, which I will at some point need to go deeper. We shall see. But let's jump in and start moving stuff around. I have no reference up, as you may have been able to tell. The idea is we're flying without a net right now. I got no problem with that. From here on out, I don't think there's going to be any reference. From here on out, it might literally just be making stuff up based off of what we know as artists. Boom. Nice. I like this magnified camera setup. This is cool. Generally speaking, I would like to work on the entire lower section of this hand before moving up to the fingers. So why not? Let's do it. I was gonna go the other direction and say, generally speaking, I would do that, but let's just block it off our medium tones. No, let's just go right now. Start making impossibly subtle transitions. I want to ask you guys like a little housekeeping question. How's the audio mix on your end? Can you hear my fan blowing the whole time in the background? Is there any like weird delays on the music? Anything like that? Can you hear my voice okay? Is the music too loud? Is my voice too loud? Sound off. Let me know how things are sounding on your end. That pigment went a little bit more wily because I wasn't paying attention because I was thinking about my algorithm. So I'm going to use this brush and just kind of pick up and remove a little bit of that. Because another part of this is that lowest shadow, if you will, is supposed to be way darker than that. I just kind of pulled down too fast. So. It's funny, I can already tell I'm going to be much quieter on these sessions with this magnifying glass up because it's like, oh, I gotta get so close, so tight. Audio's alright, cool, everything sounds good to me, cool, music is so chill, awesome. Yeah, I find like these types of videos, at least for me when I'm watching other people's stuff, it's a lot of like background, you know? I'm not intently paying attention to everything that's going on, so I don't blame anybody in our chat or on our stream if you're not doing the same thing. But a lot of it is just like the real chill vibe. Just vibing out, relaxing. So I got my mid-tone, back out, come in here, start gently walking some fingers here. And I'm just imagining direction of light. I'm just thinking about the light coming down from, well, it's gonna look a little different with my mirrored face in the bottom, but it's coming from this angle. Right? No? There. Yeah. So the light is coming down from this angle, hitting the top of the arm and the fingers. And you can see like with the lighting in my room right now, if your hand was, I guess it's kind of like that. If it's turned away from the light, you're really just catching like some highlight on the top of the hand, and then the rest is going to be mids and low lights. So we're going to need to make sure to block in all of our colors with that in mind. Pick up just a little bit of a darker tone, just because I know my shadows are going to be happening as we go. This raw umber with this mix that I have up here makes a pretty drastic change from there, but we're gonna have some dramatic lighting in this painting. Like in the universe of the painting, there's gonna be some pretty dramatic lighting, so I think that's a-okay if my shadows become quite a bit darker in value. Yeah, stronger shadow is going to be more believable for sure. I think if turn my light away a little bit, you can see a little bit more of that transition. I'm mostly just here for the chat. This is mostly just about hanging out. What's today? Sunday? Y'all's weekend good? I really just spent it getting these Facebook Marketplace supplies picked up so I can do some better quality videos for these paintings. Alright, so now that I got those little sections blocked in, I'm going to come through with my blending brush and we're going to kind of buff out some transitions there. Again, this brush, this is a teeny tiny, okay, so if I'm looking on this camera, look how small this blending brush is compared to the tip of my thumb. And then compared to the surface of the canvas, this is laying on the canvas currently, that's how wide it is, versus how absurdly small my paintbrush is. So that just means that even my blending brush might be too wily big for something that's this tiny of detail, but we're gonna find out how well I can work this right now. My goodness. Wow. It's like doing like the world's tiniest makeup. For this, I'm really just kind of like, I'll do it down here. I'm pushing in with some pressure, and as I'm lifting and pulling in the direction that I want the blend to happen. It's wild. Cool. Her hand's turned into a big old swollen mitten now, so we're gonna have to carve in the edges and sharpen that up. And she's got that big, poofy, this part of the palm thing going on. I mean, it is like basically a makeup brush. A lot of these are. Let me see if I have. You look at this. You tell me what that looks like, right? Looks quite a bit like a makeup brush to me. But this, according to Michaels, is for watercolor. So, who knows? The truth about like what it says on these little tags, whether it's like watercolor or oil or acrylic or mixed media or whatever it says, the honest to God's truth is, if it can hold the paint and move the paint how you want, then you can use it. That's it. I used to use Taklon brushes. I mean, the Trekell was the name of the brand. I'll never forget that. Of all the things I forget about oil painting, I'll never forget that I use Trekell brushes. And hopefully this Trekell is like, I don't know if it's tattoo owned or if it's just a bunch of tattooers work there, and so therefore a lot of tattoo oil painters use their brushes. But I would love to be involved with that in any way possible, whether it's like, you know, sponsoring some of the streams, or if it's just getting some brushes, whatever it is. I mean, I should upgrade to them anyway, just as an artist. They're the best. But anyway, they're like a synthetic fiber brush. I think to remain vegan friendly. I'm not vegan, but I know a lot of painters are. I think it's called Teclon. I could be wrong, but I used sable, which is horsehair, for a really long time, and like they were awesome. They were just awesome. So as any kind of ambassador for oil painting that I can be, I'll say over and over again, it's like if it works, it works. And there is a rule that exists in oil painting that's not really in most things. And this rule existed for like many decades, if not 100 years. And I wouldn't doubt that it has changed in the last 5 years. But the rule for oil painting supplies is more expensive equals better. Actually equals better quality. Actually shows return on investment that your stuff is going to look better because you're using more expensive products. Now, the reason I said it up until the last 5 years, obviously COVID changed a lot of stuff. And obviously, there's quite a bit of shenanigans going on with pricing of things right now. But up until, when I was last an oil painter, more expensive always equal better than. You might think it works for other things like luxury automobiles, and then it turns out if you look at a Jaguar, it's going to be in the shop constantly. You're better off with a Ford. The stupid but funny thing about that is last time I went shopping for a vehicle, I was like, you know what? Life's been pretty good. I'm so happy. So happy we didn't do this now that life and the industry has changed and like the amount of money we're making has changed. But last time I went vehicle shopping, I was like, you know what? Life is treating me pretty good. I'm doing well for myself. I think it's time to step it up into the luxury car game. So we went and test drove some Lincolns and whatnot. And I was pinging questions off my friend, and he was the one who told me the Jaguars are constantly in the shop. But I ended up getting my Ford F-150, and that truck is more expensive than the Lincolns that we were looking at. I just needed a truck because I always do truck stuff. I'm constantly like moving things and buildings. I was building a lot of projects when we owned our home, and that was always runs to Home Depot or not to Menards to get lumber and blah 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 blah. So I was like, all right, I think the truck is more practical for what we need it for, so I got the truck. But oh my god, in the interim, when it was pinging back and forth, it's like a entry level Lincoln SUV is cheaper than a Ford F-150. So unskilled at using small brushes when I paint. I prefer finger painting. You're stronger than there's I'm not going to do it in tonight's session because this is like such a tiny area that we're focusing on, but there's plenty of times where I'll finger paint in oil painting. Like it's just easier and faster instead of using a brush. Just go and go with your thumb, or like just kind of like squeegee it off to the side with your finger. Do you perform music as well, or you're just a big fan? I had this thought the other day that I don't have a segue into, so I'll just start sharing it and then we can chop it up. Because I know some of you know me from previous musical endeavors. I was driving around and I was thinking about social media stuff and follower counts and what do we got to do to grow our channel, blah blah blah. And I was realizing, I've never been good at or understood how to do social media stuff. Like I remember when I was in bands, we were coming up with other bands in other states that were at the same level. This is back in like the MySpace days, and you'd see like their followers go through the roof. It's like, how are they doing it? And then people would always say, oh, it's just because they know how social media works and you're just too old, which is true. But anyway, I was thinking like I've never been good at growing growing followings on any of these platforms, right? So it's like, oh man, so what do I gotta do to actually buckle down and do it on this channel? And I was like, well, one of two things. One, maybe you just won't ever, and that's fine too. But because we never had an obscenely large following in any of the things that I did, I was always able to literally know the people I was communicating with online. And that is, I think, a big difference between like what you want and then what you really truly need. So when we were going to concerts, we'd sell tickets, you know, to Bad on Fire shows or whatever, or back when I was doing hip hop to like Drum Day shows. But we knew everybody in the audience. It made it so much more real. It made it so much more worth doing. Because it was like at one point it's like, yeah, you want to get rich, so we need 1.5 million strangers to be sharing our stuff. That's cool and all that, but in tattooing, in music, there was a period where I was doing painting professionally while I was learning how to tattoo. Like I've always known all the people that were following me. So it's kind of tripping out right now that I have our channel is like, it's got like 93 followers or something like that. I don't know all 93. So it's kind of fresh. Social media is difficult. I'm bad at this stuff too, and younger, but I think it's super easy to do once you like study what others are doing. Yeah, it's oh man, I missed a whole bunch of stuff up here. Let me see. I play bass, but not performing. I'm not skilled enough for that. Much for working behind the scenes when I work. Live music events. Boyfriend does social media for some bands. That gets to do some cringy stuff to gain on a following. If I were in a band, I'd prefer organic to gain a following. Yeah, so what's funny to me, like all the other short little content that I've been putting out, the silly stuff I've been putting out, you know, I'm gonna make a little special sauce blend over here really quick with this raw umber, ultramarine blue, and alizarin crimson. The videos that I've made that have done incredibly well and getting like 10, 20,000 views, they're just like versions of the same stuff that everybody else is doing. It's not rewarding creativity, right? It's not rewarding anything new. It's just kind of rewarding, I don't know, duplicating what's already out there. So it's like, all right, I mean, if that's what it takes, it's what it takes, whatever. But I never got to an end of my thought when I was driving to think about it the other day, about how like unique and important that is, that I actually get to know the people that follow me. Pretty cool. Makes me think about some of the people that I used to follow growing up, and they would maintain both, right? They'd have, you know, millions of records sold, but also you see them at like shows or in stores or merch booths, and they'd be like, "What's up?" And they know exactly who you are. Like, "Oh man, I'm sorry you had to drive all the way from Detroit for this show." Like, "Oh wow, you know who I am." Isn't it wild how chunky this painting looks when you're like up close? When you're this close, like the stuff we've been doing has been like way zoomed back, and now you're like, these are some pretty sloppy brush strokes. Everybody's a follower now. Yeah. Yeah. I know that there's sinister edges to all the social media stuff, and I want to make sure that I'm aware, that my children are aware, and that we know, like, you know, to be careful when people are trying to exploit you, right, or exploit your attention. So I know that there's a sinister edge to it. I don't really think there's like a super thought out conspiracy where it's like, as long as we get everybody doing the same trends, then when we push the button, they'll, you know, all agree with and be brainwashed with what, you know, we want them to do. They'll repeat, you know. But that could very well be a after effect, you know, something that comes out of it where it's like, ruh-roh. You know, we're all making the same content. We're becoming this hive brain, but it's a becoming a hive mind, but it's a hive mind that is controlled by somebody who's programming that algorithm. In short, my 8-year-old earlier was asking me, questions about the AI uprising. And I was like, there's a series of movies I used to watch when I was younger called The Terminator. And she's like, I want to watch it. All right. Make that happen. Shout out to my 8-year-old. So I got this whole setup going on right here right now with the magnifying glasses and the lighting and everything. And I'm really just like leaning and looking around my magnifying glasses because I have like hundreds of hours of using my normal eyesight as my tool for working on something. And whenever the magnifying glass is here and my hand goes like around it to paint, it's kind of trippy. There's kind of like a separation there. But this is going good. We're getting a little somewhere. Can you, I know the answer is yes, of course. Can you put like copy and paste links into the chat so that like people can like go check stuff out? I got this art history question that's in my head right now, and I kind of want an answer, but can't really about the chat. Oh, you know what? I'll do it myself though. So, one of my favorite painters of all time, his name is William Adolphe Bouguereau. And I don't know if this will be the way to show off his art, but I will just kind of hold this up to the camera. Maybe y'all can see what I'm seeing. So, this is William Adolphe Bouguereau. Classical techniques, classical painter, right? This guy, his stuff is absolutely incredible. And it's like my peak inspiration for realism. Like, this guy, he was painting in the 1800s, and his stuff looks like it would be AI generated because it's too good, because it's too realistic. For instance, here's right? I mean, come on. It's so good. Anyway, when I do these realism paintings, if I'm doing like wet painting, a la prima painting, direct painting methods, whatever you want to call that, I use my blending brush like I've been showing you, which is like a makeup brush, right? Well, I had read this guy's diaries before, and there was an entry where he said he was lamenting how people talk about how he's too reliant on the Badger brush, though I never used the Badger brush, and I've never known what that is. I've never, I had a guess. I assumed it's a blending brush, right? Because wet and wet painters can, and it's not my strongest skill because I'm a indirect painter, not a direct painter, but wet and wet painters, they can get those smooth transitions just by mixing on their palette, putting the stroke down, and putting the stroke down. So like Damien Loeb or Scott Waddell is probably the best at this technique of just wet and wet blending as you go without having to use a blender brush. Anyway, this whole thing was just to say, if somebody in the chat could like do a quick Google for Bouguereau art history Badger brush to answer that question for me, that'd be awesome. But then also I'm like sitting right here and I have my phone. So let me see what Badger brush means. Badger brush. Okay. So it's just a big fat softener brush, and most of them are similar to exactly what this is. How big that brush is compared to what we've been working on. Holy smokes. I love working on this tiny scale. It's really fun. A lot of the whole point of doing this channel and doing it this way is I wanted to make this as difficult as possible. So anyway, my favorite painter, as far as realism goes, never had to use it, so why should I? What we got in chat? I've seen bands and like artists make it big by doing like evil and crazy things, whatever gets people talking. I've seen people get popular by being nice and sweet too. That's awesome. I mean, by default, that's who I am, is a gentle, quiet person. Sweet, I hope so. I don't really know. I am 40, so I am. It's an effort to keep up with the modern politeness. So I try at all turns to be a polite person, but I fail a lot. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think the chill is more important than getting famous. So I'll probably just be pretty chill for a while. You know, politeness isn't going to move mountains, and that's fine. This is also unbelievably exciting. This painting. These little tiny details. Hanging out and chatting. Do you guys follow streamers? Do you do Twitch? I'm always looking for new people to follow. That was a crucial brushstroke. I don't think you guys would ever know in your like what's in my heart right now, but that little tiny adjustment I just did to her pinky finger is gonna make such a big difference when I do the rest of the stuff around it. Wow. Yeah, boy. Make some moves. I'd rather watch someone who's friendly and chill stream than someone who's a massive jerk. That's not how most people are. My kid was asking me earlier today why so many people want to break the law. And by that means like texting and driving. And I explained to her that a lot of people right now are selfish and they think to themselves, well, I can afford a speeding ticket, or I can afford to change a tire if I hit a curb or whatever, and blow out a tire. So I'm just gonna keep texting. But they're not thinking what happens if you knock into somebody else. You know, that's not a major concern as other people, you know. And you can extrapolate that however you want to whatever type of people you want to talk about. But basically, I just think there's a market for the jerk. And there's a market out there for people like people who wish they had the guts to be mean to other people, but they just don't, and so they like watching it in other people. It's a really nasty, gross, unfortunate part of people. I have some paintings I've done that, politically speaking, they could get me in trouble, I think, with the current state of affairs. And I wonder if it's worth putting them out there and accepting whatever risk may come associated with putting those paintings out and offending the wrong people. And if it's more powerful or more important for the sake of art to cross that line and to then, you know, be a little concerned of what the retaliation might be, you know, if it's more important for the sake of art to do that than to just keep my mouth shut, maybe I should do it, but I don't know. I ping pong regularly between like, nothing is more important than this art that we're making because it'll outlast me for sure. and it speaks deeper than my words could. Not this ballerina painting, but just paintings in general, or music, or tattoos, or insert art medium here. But I ping pong back and forth between, like, am I the revolutionary spirit, or am I the guy that just wants to watch somebody be revolutionary? You guys do anything special for the month of October, for Halloween month? We like to try to watch one spooky movie or one scary thing each day throughout the month of October. We're getting somewhere. We're not there, but we are getting somewhere on this. I need to pump up the shadows deeper on this back part of the hand here. But I think what I'm going to do is let that set up and then go on top, because right now there's a few different layers of oils that I dropped to get me to this point, and I hate to add more and muddy things up. So one of the things I'm seeing right now is that, sorry, don't bounce that around too much. Are you painting a ballerina? I am. Let me, because I don't want to mess up the full scope of our setup here, I'll just pull up a picture from our last session and hold it up to the webcam in the corner so you guys can see. So this is where we ended last session with the full painting. My green screen filter is looking kind of weird right now, but you can at least see the layout of the ballerina practicing in the alleyway behind the theater. That's what we're painting. That's what I'm working on. So right now we're zoomed in, hyper zoomed in to just like the face, forehead, hand, and that section. And the hand will be like the totality of what I work on today. And then the next video I do, I think will be shot off hours, not a live stream, but then I'll go down to like the side of the face and the ear, or the tattoos. I'm not sure yet. You tell me which one you'd rather hang out and watch live versus on a video on demand, on a VOD. And then I will do the one that you guys would want to see live. So we can chop it up and keep you distracted. It sounds like a joke, but it's very important to stay distracted. Otherwise I'll overthink it. It's fun to do the like tutorial teacher thing, because then I get to hear myself say things out loud that I haven't heard in many years. But also it's easier to paint when I'm all like quiet and just focused in, but that's not what this is about. This is about difficulty and doing it in front of people. So yeah, she's got like a really meaty sausage of an index finger there, so I'm gonna cut that in. And to do that, I will pull the background up into those fleshy tones. Oh, dude, that's awesome. Party cake. I thought it said patty cake, sorry. That's awesome, 666. I love that. This is an art form I adore, but it's nothing that I've ever done. I'm not physically built for it. I don't know if you can tell by my posture, but I look like a shrimp that's doing an impression of a lowercase r, so I don't really have the back for it. So yeah, I'm gonna tune the shape of that index finger a little bit better before carving in the outside edge to thin it out. So what am I doing? Mid-tone, and I'll do the highlight. Thumb is looking pretty nice, though. I think I need a little blend because I see like a hiccup in it. So jump through and drop a new highlight on the thumb. For this palette over here, this is a glass palette with a neutral gray undertone. It's a little bit whiter than I like. I like a 50% 50% gray undertone, but that's fine. Oh, cool. Awesome. I like that you guys know each other. That makes me happy. Got a nice little cule going on in the chat. Finally starting to get smoother. My favorite thing to do at the end of these videos when they get uploaded is to grab the slider bar on the bottom and just jump back and forth between the beginning and the end of the video to see what I was working on and see that progress. Because when you do it stroke by stroke and step by step, like you just kind of softly transition from to, and sometimes you finish painting or tattooing or something and you're like, did I even do anything today? Is there any progress here at all? That's why it's so important to do before pictures with tattoos if it's like a cover-up or a rework or something. And all too many times where I finish the session, I'm like, ugh. I think how do I even charge somebody if I didn't do anything? It's like, dude, you did so much. Well, I don't know. I didn't just see the before and after. I had to watch all the steps all the way through, and I forgot everything that took place. I'm trying to find the perfect middle ground tone here to work the shadow on the inside of the obstructed hand. Better, closer, warmer. I just gotta blend the tones better. And it's way too tight, I think, for me to use my blending brush to do it. If I had another brush that was this small, I could probably just go in with a dry clean brush to blend these up and down. Let me check my brush collection really quick. Let's see what Daddy sees. I have a few rounds that come to a nice point. Maybe I can use the tip of the point of that. I don't need to use a hyper detail brush necessarily for this round. What I'm looking at in choosing this, I would easily do it underneath my magnifying glass. Like, if I think this brush would be good for blending out, I don't know, because see how like irregular and chunky the very, very, very tippy tip of it is? It's kind of like chopped up. Then if I have something like one of these that comes to an insanely fine point, but the rest of the brush is really wide, so if something accidentally happened and I flattened out too much, I don't want it to go so wide that it blurs out everything I'm trying to blend, but use this all around. Let's use the bigger of those two and see if it's better for one of these tones. A bit, yeah. I was gonna say something that's funny. The magnifying lamp that I have on this right now has a light on it, but I'm using other ring lights in my setup to try to get this panel lit where you guys can see what I'm doing. Because lighting is so important when you try and dial in the camera. But what was making me laugh is the magnifying lamp has a light built into it. And if you'd like to see how bright that light is, all I have to do is flip this switch to turn it on. And I think it might be a little too bright for the stream, I don't know, even though it makes it a whole lot easier to see white, it's pretty impossible to see anything else, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that one back off. Okay, I still need a little highlight on the index finger. There's an effect I'm looking for, a really sharp, little bit of light coming in just at the tip of the index finger. And then once I feel good about that, then I'm going to bring in the sides around to try to carve out the shape, the silhouette of the hand a little bit better. So let me do that. I'm going to use just my straight brightest pile here. I'm not going to white. I'm not going to throw a white highlight on it. That'd be incredibly natural. So I'm just going to use the brightest pile. But even this, in compared to everything that's on the canvas, it's going to feel super bright. So it definitely is not. All right. Let's see what we can do I like the first one, I didn't like that second one. So I'll come in with this tiny little blending brush and see if I can push it out. Yeah. Nice. Oh yeah, earlier I was going to take care of this thumb, I don't think I did that. Nice. Got some light coming through, I like that. Pinky fingers super muddy, so let me drop some of this highlight on that pinky finger as well. Literally holding my breath. There's an artist that yes, that light is very bright. There's an artist that I'm thinking of named Jan van Eyck. When I'm working on this ballerina painting, I'll show you some of his stuff. Jan van Eyck was a Flemish painter. It's like 1400s, I think. But his stuff. There's one painting that's at the DIA that I'm gonna go check out Wednesday. I have a day off on Wednesday. I've seen it a million times, but now that I'm working on this painting in particular, I want to check this out. The painting at the DIA is 7 inches by 5 inches, which is smaller than this. This is 8 by 10. And there's some of the detail in that painting. As you can see, oh, you know what? I could totally just open up a browser on my screen. I'll do that next time. The next time I'll have a browser tab open and I just throw these images up there in high quality. But yeah, so his stuff is so good, so tight, and so when I'm doing these little tiny brush strokes, that's what I'm thinking of. But also, I'm doing like 2 hours of painting a week here because I have a year 2025 life. Jan van Eyck in the 1400s, I don't really think he was doing much. I think he was hanging out and maybe an entire day would be just working on the thumb of this ballerina. Who's to say? Nice. Nice, nice, nice. There's a little blend I gotta do on the obstructed finger, where it's just like a chunk. There's like a little white dot and piece of like black behind it. It's just underdeveloped from our last session, so try that left right here. There we go. Cool. Okay, so now I'm gonna try to bring the borders in around this hand to thin it out, because as we were adding stuff, she got a little bit of those Seinfeld man hands, which it's okay if you have man hands. I'm not anti-man hand. I have no paint left over on my palette from the session where I did, you know, all these background layers or anything like that, so I'm gonna have to quickly mix up a color, you know, not what the background color is or anything like that, but just something I can use to carve in these tones and unman those hands. Like much grayer versions. Maybe I'll pull up some of this violet from this weird pile I made earlier. Yellow because I want it to be gray, so if you mix purple and yellow you get a really nice gray. And by yellow for this one I'm using just straight yellow ochre light. It's still pretty warm like the tones I'm using in the hand, so I'm going to dumb it down with the tiniest dot of, oh my god, I don't know if you guys were able to see on that palette the very teeniest amount of that phthalo green and how much it changed on this palette. Phthalo green is such a brutal color to mix through. It will destroy absolutely everything in your paint palette. Look at that. Bah! And that one right out. Take care of that sausagey index finger. Well, you know what? That's not even her index finger. You guys let me lie to you the entire time. That was her middle finger. This is not a cartoon character. She doesn't only have 4 fingers. Chat, you bunch of jerks, let me do 4-fingered hands. Gotta get out of here now. It's fun chatting through that. Thank you so much for swinging through. Every time you guys hang out with me, it makes it so much more fun. I feel biased, whatever that word means to whoever you are. Alright, I'm going to do a side pile of this with this Naples yellow. Have a lighter tone because it looks like it's a little lighter around other parts of her hand here. I'm going to try to tune up around that palette. Around this pinky of the obstructed hand. Nice. Okay, so with the shape of this hand, then that means her proper index finger is obstructed. It's just kind of like knuckled out and pointed in. So like, if I wanted to add another finger on this hand, which I should, just do it on like a sharp angle and then call it. See if I can do this in 3 brush strokes or less. 1 brush stroke would be ideal. Let's see if I can do this. Additional finger in 3 brush strokes or less brush strokes or less. That's 1. Lock it in. Kind of a midish tone. Well, kind of light mid actually, so I'm gonna go a little bit darker now. A little bit darker now. A little bit darker now. Let's do. And I'll do. I don't even need a highlight, honestly. Maybe my 3rd stroke will just be cut in the background, shape it up properly. How do you like that? Alright. It's not 100% done, but it's an additional finger. I feel like I need to blend out the shadow with the obstructed hand, and we're already an hour 4 in, so I'm gonna have to finish up here. I gotta blend out that shadow, and then I'm gonna need like an edge line, I think, to like a darker edge for the edge of the hand. I don't want to turn it into a cartoon. If you put a line around everything, it flats out immediately. There's never any sense of depth from there on out. But I might need a darker edge to really make sense of what's going on with his hand. So now though that thumb is peeking out, I need to... Alright, this is what we're going to do. Listen up, folks. We're going to do something crazy to round out this stream. I'm going to go straight in with this much deeper brownish shadow color. And I'm going to simultaneously connect that index finger to the knuckle set of the hand while also creating a shadow that separates the thumb and the index knuckle. And then if that's working, I will pop in a couple deep shadows between fingers and then a line underneath the hand, and then we'll call it at that point. But only if it's working, right? Let's... Whew. Every time you cut a corner, you make 2 more. I wasn't really cutting a corner, I just put in some brush strokes that were a little darker than I like. Yeah, it's pretty solid damage control, huh? Not too shabby. Last thing you gotta do is blend out some of these tones we put in. Blender brush. The badger brush, as Brother Boogaroo would have called it. It's not a badger brush, it's literally just a dry brush with no pigment on it. The tagline of this stream will be, did he blow it in the last 2 minutes? Tune in or just fast forward to find out. I heard this awesome. I keep thinking the phrase "failing in front of people" because that's a thing that I've done my whole life, and I've never been embarrassed to do it. Well, that's a misnomer, but to put it this way, I don't have a problem trying something new in front of people. Okay, so anyway, I heard a phrase earlier that speaks to that phenomenon, and it was piggybacked off of a phrase that I've heard a million times that we've all heard, but they expanded it to this concept, and then it was like, oh, that's good, I gotta write that one down. So instead of writing it down, I'm just gonna say it on this stream. They said, the only way out is through, and the only way through is embarrassing. So I will lean into the cringe, I will lean into the embarrassment, and we'll all do it together and have a good time. I do think, though, we made some incredible progress on these hands tonight. So, we shall go in, we shall take a look at the replay, the video on demand. We'll scrub the video from the front to the back, and we will know for certain if we made good decisions or bad decisions. But either way, it's progress. It's slow progress, it's still progress. Alright, that's going to call it for me today. Thank you for tuning in. Of course, do all the stuff, like, follow, subscribe. Whatever the kids say these days, ring the bell. That's an old one. But anyway, if you follow what we're doing, if you like what we're doing, thank you so much. Bring in some friends next time. We have more people in the chat tonight than I normally do, so that's cool. But either way, thank you so much, and I will see you guys next time.